My name is Xiaochen, and I run AI 2030, and we have some of the AI 2030 leadership here, and Lisa, and also, yeah. So interestingly, that's from the whole day, that's there are a lot of discussion about different technologies, different applications, and Web3 is a very unique space where that's when you have electricity or you have .com, seldom you see that you have a community, user community will be very important. And typically for technology, you have this SME community, and then Web3 from beginning is a community-driven development. When I started the Web3 or blockchain-related work at the World Bank, that was 2012, where we invited MIT professor to World Bank and then to see how we can leverage blockchain. No, at that time Bitcoin-related, the methodology to address rural electrification project. And then after Ethereum was launched, and then everything is about community. And of course, recently that we see a lot of enterprise adoption, and then this community concept is less. And so my first, maybe just go to each one of you and for your introduction, and also just your one take regarding where we are in 2026. How important is community in your business? And maybe you can start from John.
Awesome. My name is John Cobbs. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Giant. At Giant, we are building what I like to describe as the imagination engine, starting with storytelling for kids. And so we allow our users to come and create characters and create worlds that they can explore in the Giant app. We're an AI native full stack team of 12, and we're fortunate to have Decasonic as an investor in our latest round. I think for us, building community is huge, but it really, when I think about Giant's approach, we wanted to start with the product. It's product-led first. And so the best community for us were folks that were early users and adopters of the platform. And we focused really hard over the last 2 years on building a product that we were proud enough of that really generated a groundswell of excitement from our users. And so the more we have that type of adoption, that's organic, created community from the ground up. And I will also mention, I have a background in Web3. My prior company was called Wild, which was like a YC for creators in Web3. So I spent a couple years in Web3 prior to building Giant.
Hi, so I'm Longdo. I'm also a partco of Decasonic. My background has been a lot into Web3 games. We've launched maybe 20 plus titles in the last couple of years, so we're really good at shipping these games in fast. And then we've built communities around these games rapidly as we've iterated. Every time we start up a new Twitter, there's 10,000 followers, we start a Discord, and it's been kind of a formula that we've been following. So right now in 2026, formula's changed a lot. It's not a lot about grabbing attention, but how do you build a community that plays these games, that you can see user activity, how do you retain those users, and how much are they spending in these games? So it's kind of how I feel about Web3 communities and what to pivot towards right now.
My name is Max Kaufman. First off, congrats to the Decasonic team, Paul, Abdul, and Justin for putting on an incredible day and conference. Thank you for having us up here. So I'm the founder of MomentumX Global. I've been running a global business development, sales, consulting, and advisory firm for a year and a half now, and also execute live events all over the world for companies at any stage, essentially, all the way up to, done a couple events for Google Cloud in the AI space last year at some of the major conferences. And for me, community is a very, big thing for what I've built the MomentumX business around, anchoring it around live events and bringing together leaders across, a specific vertical in which we're doing an event, whether that's in consumer, it's in gaming, it's in AI, and most recently in the last 8 months, been really focused on building out a strong community in the TradFi, fintech, crypto, and venture capitalist scene. Started in New York. I've built this series called Modern Money, and we've done 4 events so far in New York and in Miami. Going to be expanding globally, but it really comes down to, again, you bring together people of shared identity and shared values into a space in which they can interact, build relationships, and exchange ideas, notes, etc., and all learn from each other. Versus other, forms of quote unquote community that's been tossed around in the Web3 space, which is more extractive, as you guys have probably seen a lot of projects in the past, communities built to 100K, but ultimately people are in it for a token airdrop and then they sell out and they're on to the next one. So that's why I've always love doing the live events, because you actually bring people in person together in one space and let them build relationships and get value from one another.
Yeah, just follow what you said. Compare with the 2019 or those during ICO and all that. The community, I think, again, moving to a very different direction, and where that's. Go back to your earlier comment, each one of you, that 2026, why community still matters so much for Web3, and for what kind of, if like what you have live event and then you have storytelling and all. So after you bring the community together, now that's what kind of actions you want the community member to take, so that then that is also you can measure whether your community building is successful or not. So maybe this time we can start from London.
Yeah, so I want my users to try my apps every day. How do I get them to come back every single day and measure that retention score? So we build a lot of tools for instrumentation for those purposes. We want you to feel like valued. So building tools for loyalty has been kind of a big bread and butter of us as well. Like when you're in these apps, are you getting like reward badges? Are you creating special channels in the Discord? And then recently we're moving into Reddit. Are these users getting flares? So you post a lot, you get these incentives, and you keep wanting to post and you keep wanting to share your experiences. It's really important. Myself, I need to be in my social channels, my Discord, seeing the founder contribute and talk about their product. It's been really a big pull to keep people staying engaged. So those are some of the strategies that we are adopting right now.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast recently, and somebody mentioned we're shifting from the attention economy to the intention economy. And what does that mean? Attention economy is obviously you create massive marketing hype, you draw a lot of awareness, you get eyeballs on you, and you might grow a vanity metric of community members and so forth. But what really matters is what do you do with that community, and how can you become more intentional with those community members? And there's 2 different sectors of that. One is more qualitative approach, and that's getting into the trenches and understanding from your customers or your community members or your players or your users, if you're shipping games, and understanding feedback. What's working, what's not working, what pain points or challenges do they have, what do you need to continue to build and ship and innovate to provide value to your community members or your users or your players. And then the second bucket would be more quantitative, which is what Long mentioned. There's a lot of data-driven decisions and insights that you can get from tracking everything from your community metrics, and I came from, before MomentumX, I was working in a gaming data analytics business where I got really in the weeds, understanding how important data-driven insights is for gaming, and it starts at the top with a first-time user experience and seeing that full funnel of users coming in into a game, clicking on XYZ button, signing up, and then jumping into the game and start playing and so forth. And every single one of those action items is trackable, and there's a data point behind that. And then, so if you see that there's any drop-offs within getting into the games, or people aren't buying products in the games and other things within the game itself. There's actual decisions you can make based on those data and those insights from the actions from your community members.
Yeah, my brain kind of works in terms of network effects. I spent 14 years as founder and CEO of a company called Apartment List. It's a rental marketplace. We do about 3% of the rental transactions in the United States. And when building Giant, I really wanted to focus on the supply side. That was the playbook that worked in building a two-sided marketplace in consumer rentals. And instead of flying around the country and signing up property managers and landlords, I was like, all right, if we're going to be building this engine, this imagination engine, is there a way that we can fast track the production of the supply side in a network effect? And so we basically dissected Pixar's animation stack and then rebuilt that as an AI native stack. And so for 1/100,000th the cost that it takes Pixar or Disney to create something, we can now create extraordinarily high quality, personalized, vivid videos. So kids can be in TV shows. And so we're using this technology internally at Giant to create shows and create these experiences for all of our users. And then we said to ourselves, what if we faced it externally and just allowed anybody to use this high horsepower toolkit that we built? And so that's what we did. And so when it comes back to community, I really think in terms of network effects, building something that's recursive, a system where we can build supply, Giant can build it, our users can build it, and then that supply becomes what attracts the demand side of the equation. And the more that demand comes to the platform, the more that they're incentivized to create their own version, their own imagination, and bring that to life in Giant. And that's the recursive system that we are building right now.
Thank you. So from the three of you, I think three very interesting insight. One is that your foundation need to be solid. That's the product, right? Your product, your community have to want it and have to demand it. Then you have to constantly bring value. And then that's constant brand value. That's when you interpret as this being sticky and where that stay with you for longer term. And I'm running AI 2030 has a community. We have around 7,000 some responsible AI leaders around the world who working on mainstream responsible AI. And interestingly, when we started, I have almost a personal relationship with everyone. And then we would just scale to 1,000. It becoming very difficult, but I still trying to making efforts. And after you have a few thousand, and then it's impossible. And so then you want to just number one, you want to scale your community. Number two, that you still want to give them the attention. And then so how do you address that challenge where that's number one, how do you scale it? Number two is that when you scale, how you still bring that kind of customized, personalized, value back to the community members. Maybe this time from Max.
Yeah, so obviously, if you're building a community at scale, it is nice at the very start to be able to have a personal relationship with as many people as possible, and that's usually how the foundation of communities are built from the ground up. But you get to the point if your community is 10,000, 100,000, 1 million people all over the world that quite literally isn't possible. So, I mean, what I've seen from the past that's worked really well is if you want to expand and continue to grow the community, whether that's in different regions or different verticals, different sectors, you bring on board almost like chapter leads or community leads in Brazil and in Asia and in the United States, and you have those people that come on board that you have a close, very personal relationship with, and they start building the communities within their local networks and within their local regions. They start to know a lot of people, and then they can continue to build and scale their communities by growing those chapters or like nodes per se. And that goes to what John was mentioning around the network effect. So you won't have a direct relationship, of course, with everyone one-to-one. You'll have a lot of relationship with these, chapter members. You still want to do probably big community calls so they can hear your voice as an industry leader. But that's, the most effective way I've seen communities be built at scale.
Yeah, the way we think about it is we're eventually going to reach millions of people, or hopefully hundreds of millions of people. That's the goal. It's what we're trying to build, is something that caters to, there's something for everyone, and building imagination and bringing that to life. And so we don't have the luxury of like having conversations with everybody. So we have to let our product have those conversations. We have to speak with our product. And for us, a big part of that is in the onboarding experience, is setting the tone, is like creating magic. And like in the first 60 seconds, what's the most magical thing we can think of? And what we're testing next is, you can draw anything in the Giant app, and you can draw a character, and we'll just bring it to life, and you can have a conversation with it. And it's fully agentic and pretty magical. Like, I get to test this stuff, and my 6-year-old gets to test this stuff, and we have so much fun doing that. And so I think about it through a product lens. Is like, what's the fastest we can create that magical moment? And then that's almost like a shared currency. It's like everybody that's onboarded to our experience has created something. They've like brought something to life in the app that somebody else got to share and enjoy. And so it's kind of like a rite of passage. When you like jump into the Giant experience, you get to create something that didn't exist in the world before. And so we do it through our product.
Yeah, I was also thinking along those lines. Like, we're focusing a lot on personalization for every user. Right now, you can try our games out in Reddit, and then you can, if you really like your game and your character and such, you can post about that character. So we do everything we can to incentivize you to do that, to create those special moments, like for those specific users. Also, with our advent of agentic AI, re-engaging those users with personalized messages. Like, you haven't signed in for 3 days, look, your character is missing you, and getting a personalized message like that. So doing systems like that, which weren't so easy back then, is becoming so much more easier. So building out these tools and these unique experiences is very key to maintaining that community.
I think it's two different directions, but both are combined. That's the exact solution. One is leveraging people, one is leveraging product, right? And those are very important. And anyone have any question before I ask the last question? If not, then I'll just go back to, it's 2026. We cannot not talk about AI for any panel. So then when we talk about scaling and scaling community, and also in general from Web3, we always say the biggest challenge for Web3 adoption is really the user experience, where that AI, it has that superpower and transforming that user experience. So from the community building side, or in general, broadly speaking, your own organization, how AI is helping you to just scaling your community and scaling your business. And this time from Long.
Yeah. So for us, we are taking our looking at where our users are and try and move towards them. Like, we're building in really Web3 abstracted platforms. We're basically letting you use your Google account, letting you pay with different types of currencies. Like, you don't want to, like, we have a game on like AVAX, for example. You don't want to use AVAX USDC. How do we build that abstraction layer? And so we're leveraging a lot of AI tools to build this extremely fast. We are shipping out these tiny product features like almost constantly. So it's kind of really transformed us to like, what's something that would have taken us like months to do. Now, let's just ship it, get it done in a day, test it, next day ship. So that's kind of a big way of us building these really important tools to get adoption.
Yeah, I think in the world of AI, it's even more important to double down on the in-person community building and in-person relationships and in-person events. And that's kind of the big trend now, is a lot of people going towards more experiential activities and again, IRL activations. But from a back end and from an operational efficiency perspective, there's all the AI tooling that I'm using, my team's using, my clients are using on the back end to automate everything, to make your life easier, and you can get much more done in a workday. And then from my perspective, when we're doing events, whether it's in New York or it's in Dubai, London, Paris, all over the world, new markets, leveraging AI to discover and find more people that are relative to would be good value adds to the events and community that we've been building, and then finding those people and then being able to message them, to engage with them with tools as well, and do it at scale with all these AI workflows in place.
Yeah, if we're wrapping things up, then I just want to give a shout out to Paul, Abdul, Justin from Decasonic. Like, those guys are incredible. we're super honored to have them invested in Giant. They're, when I think of like the sophistication level of Decasonic relative to all the hundreds of VCs I've met over like 2 decades in Silicon Valley, I'm just like blown away by what that team does. I was fortunate to be introduced to them by Rick at Lore Capital. Rick is also amazing. Rick's in here somewhere. There's Rick. And so when I think about AI native, I think about like the foundation of our business being aligned with investors like these 2 teams that I mentioned. And so for us, I think it's inspiring when the VCs are also building with AI the same way we are. Like we have 12 people at our company at Giant, and I am blown away by what we can do. Everybody seems like a 10x engineer, or a 10x designer, or a 10x product person because everybody's full stack AI all day, every day, unapologetic about it. We love it. And it would take hundreds of millions of dollars and a decade plus to build like what we were able to do in a year. And I can't wait to see that compound in the years to come. And so if you aren't full stack AI, like I encourage you to like, come in and the water is warm. And there's so much opportunity to make that transition very quickly. And so it's wonderful to share that story with everyone today. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. And just to reflect a little bit of my personal experience, a few years ago, when I moved to Chicago, and I said, "Where's my Web3 community?" And it's very hard to find who they are, where they are. And then I joined the POS event, and then suddenly it's actually everyone's here, and that if you are just operating in San Francisco or New York, it probably to just organize an event as such is not difficult. But I think what Pa and Abdul and Justin have done is amazing. Every year you see the event becoming bigger and more speakers coming out of the Chicago, bring everyone together, and then so every year you see that Chicago's Web3 community becoming stronger, bigger. Everyone started to get to know each other, and more collaboration just being established because of this effort. So. Thank you, everyone. And before we finish, and a round of applause to Paul and everyone in the team. Thank you. And also thank you to my panelists. Thank you.